Hi family, it's Marin. Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited about today's video because we are on letter R of DRESS, which stands for Rest and Relaxation. If you guys have been liking this series, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and also feel free to comment your questions below. So rest and relaxation, just to clarify, is not sleep. This is separate from sleep, and it's important because sleep, while you may get enough to have energy throughout the rest of the day, if you don't have good rest and relaxation, then your body can still remain in an unhealthy state. So rest and relaxation comes consciously and actively, not passively like sitting in front of a TV. So let me break this down into 4 different areas so it makes it a little bit easier to visualize it in your own life. You want to have rest and relaxation in the social, mental, physical, and spiritual areas. And how I like to do this is, say socially, it's really easy to feel burnt out. Even if you're extroverted like I am, it can get really exhausting. And I remember there was a point in my life where I could not imagine having quietude or having silence. Like silence used to scare me. But it's really important because in having those moments of silence and being with yourself, you not only tap back into the present moment, you tap back into self-awareness and you begin to build a relationship with yourself and your thoughts and your perspectives. And that's where a lot of the real work gets done. So getting away from those social interactions are really good, but I also like getting rest and relaxation socially. And what I mean by this is if I'm spending time with somebody I really care about, but I'm too tired to talk or engage in what they're thinking about or like just get really intimate in the moment, I love doing things together that require that same silence and presence. And some of these things include gardening together, art, or yoga together. The next area is your mental state. And this is something that I utilize every single day because my work uses a lot of mental juice and energy. And you just turn off your mind for a few minutes. It makes the biggest difference in the world. It's really crazy because I can go on 100 miles an hour all day and it feels really poor and exhausting, and that's what leads to adrenal crashes and other things that are no fun, and it also keeps me from being able to sleep well at night. So what I notice is when I start running at 100 miles an hour or I start feeling shortness in my breath or just kind of getting overwhelmed or like it's been a while since I've had some quiet, calm energy, I just go ahead and turn off my work for 5 minutes. That's all it takes, and I do this periodically throughout the day. And you know, studies have shown that if you do this every half an hour to an hour, it's actually really good for you. It increases mental clarity and productivity. So I do things like turn on music for 5 minutes or just one favorite song where I can sit and relax to. I may lay down and just breathe deeply. I love observing things here in this room in my office, or you know, having this bed here allows me to sit propped up and just look outside this beautiful window and watch the leaves rustle or feel the breeze come in through the window. Or you might just take a walk for 5 minutes. The next area is physical rest and relaxation. This is probably the most obvious area because we're always running around and doing things all the time, and it's easy to feel physically tired. We're more aware of that. And so doing something like laying down, which is something that I couple with my mental rest for 5 minutes. Like I said, just kick up, lay here, feel the breeze through my window, look at the sunlight, or just lay down, close your eyes as if you're gonna sleep and breathe. Sometimes I have to set an alarm because I might actually fall asleep, but what I notice is when I lay down and act as if I'm actually gonna go to sleep and I relax my whole body in that state, even if I'm just laying down for 5 or 10 or 15 minutes, it literally feels like I got a power nap without actually having to sleep, and I feel better and my whole mental slate is just reset. It's the most amazing thing. If you just practice it on a regular basis, trust me, it's worth it. You can also take the time to just sit in a relaxed position and breathe. Just relax that whole body. I like to focus on like flexing all of my muscles in my body from my toes all the way up to my shoulders and my head, and then just slowly unflexing and relaxing, just thinking about what it would feel like if it was just limp and completely relaxed. And it feels so good. Lastly, I want to talk about spiritual. This is something that I believe is innate in all of us, whether we consider ourselves spiritual or religious or believe in God or any of those things. I just think that we need to be able to connect back to ourselves and our roots. And one of the most basic ways for me to do that is to get out in nature. Nature is just where we come from, it's where we belong, and a lot of times when you're surrounded by a concrete jungle or all these technological buzzy electronic waves and stuff, it's nice to get your bare feet on the ground, take a walk in the sand if you live next to a beach, or just take a stroll through the grass, or just sit down at the top of a hill, go on a nice hike, watch the sunset. That just feeds my soul, and it feels so good to get a little ounce of that every single day, even if it's just for a 5 or 10 minute walk, or just sitting outside under a tree for a few minutes and taking some deep breaths. I also feel connected spiritually when I listen to music. Certain songs, especially ones that are more organic, like classical, strings, pianos, those sort of things, get me really in touch with the vibrations of my body and just like what moves. I don't know what it is about music, but there's something super special about that, and I know that a lot of you guys feel the same way out there. It moves the energy between the space, and something about that is just really connective and really relaxing and resting to my spiritual nature. Lastly, this is something that's not as common, but if you can master the rest in the mental and the physical, I think this just comes naturally, and that's meditation. To sit or be still in a quiet place where you can literally unwind and let your mind go. It doesn't mean to think of nothing. I know a lot of meditative practices try to urge you to think of nothing, but I think that's almost impossible. Our mind is always active to some degree. But to be able to sit and observe without resistance, to let go and be present to the actual moment without thinking of future or past, and just allowing yourself to observe or experience the situation that you're in at the most minimal interaction or effort possible. I guess that's the best way that I can describe it. But I love using binaural tracks, or even listening to relaxing music, using essential oils, and creating an environment that is nice and calming so that I can get in touch with myself in that present moment. So these are just some tips and ideas for the rest and relaxation state. If you're getting enough sleep but still feel kind of crazy or off balance, or you feel like your stress threshold is really low and things can get easily overwhelming for you, then making sure that you get good rest and relaxation on a regular daily basis is super, super important. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know by giving it a big thumbs up. If you've just subscribed or you're new to the channel, welcome to the family. I appreciate you guys so much for being here. This is a really fun series, and I hope you find it super useful. And remember, be good, be great, be grateful. Thank you again for being here. I will see you in the next video. Ciao.